guys, it's Katie with String Expert. Today we are working on part 1 of Boy Paganini. Let me play for you the section that we're going to work on and then we'll start learning. And of course, if you need the sheet music, go to my website stringexpert.com. I have a link below with the music so you can practice and learn and play along. Okay, here we go. What's so significant and important about this piece is the fact that it is just full of a ton of expression. So when you're playing this piece, that's your main focus. It's not as much rhythmically driving as some of the other pieces that you might encounter, but it is really important that anything you do has a very specific sound and it's very exact in its expression. What happens a lot of times when students learn this piece is they forget about the expression because they're so concentrated on the notes, and then it loses all of its power because the power of this piece is in the vibrato and the expression. So starting from the beginning, let's start with the first phrase. And what I like to think of it as, it sort of follows exactly how the line goes. So we start and we go up, and I like to add sort of like a crescendo within the forte key sound signature, so it just kind of goes up and then floats down. And so what this does is it gives this hey, I'm really excited with the forte, but then if we get even louder, then it gets more and more exciting. And then I also try and build that same anticipation with my vibrato. I start out a little bit more subtle, and then as I get to the G at the top of the line, I have a full out big expressive vibrato. Now, when I get to the G at the top, I'm going to immediately back off because that says a lot too. So we start with this huge big expression, and then when we get to the G, we're going to do a dramatic note, and then we're going to sort of taper off. And then I just add a little bit of an accent on the A. Now, you can do whatever you want in terms of the Boy Paganini. I'm just explaining to you what I want to do, but I'm just telling you that if you don't add any expression and you're just sort of boring, this piece loses all of its power. Okay, so moving on to the second phrase, what we're going to do is the same thing, but I try and change it up just a little bit so the sound isn't quite as intense, so it's more of like an echo of the first phrase. Now, in terms of fingering, what we're going to do is we're going to start in first position. And then right there at the D, we're going to shift into third. Then we have C, which is right next to the B because it's C natural. Now, what's tricky is we have A sharp. So we have our B, which is in its normal spot. We have C natural here, so we have C natural, and then we're going to A sharp. So our first finger, instead of being back here where it normally is for A natural, we're going to slide it up so it's right next to our second finger, and that way we're perfectly in tune for the A sharp. So it's going to be... Spend a lot of time practicing that and making sure that it's in tune, because without it, we don't get that beautiful minor quality that is so important for this piece. Let's try that whole first line. So then moving on, I think that the next phrase is just sort of two sets of rolling notes. I don't do a lot of distinguishing qualities in between the two because I really want this phrase to move within the piece. So what we're doing is we're just playing through the notes and it sort of moves on its own. Lots and lots of vibrato in this section. Let me play it for you. We also shift down into first position, so it makes life much easier. phrase. Now, the next phrase is really crucial because we're saying something there. So before, the first two measures of the second line, they're just kind of like, yeah, okay, here's the notes. But now we're going to say, hey, we're moving and we're being very expressive again. So it gets the audience to sort of wake up. If you have too much power overall through the whole piece, then it's just kind of overwhelming. So we sort of have a huge burst of power in the beginning, in the first phrase. The second phrase is sort of like an echo. The third phrase is just kind of like this mellow, smooth line. And now in the fourth phrase, we have a ton of different accidentals, and we're moving the line up and going back down, similar to what we did in the beginning of the piece. So we start out with a D sharp, and then a fourth finger, and then F sharp and G. Now we're going to slide up into third position, and again it's going to be A sharp, but we're going to have C sharp now, and then D. So what I would do is, as you play, move up that line. We're going to have this huge expression, and then we're going to taper off. And I even almost take a breath in between the and then this D. So here's the whole first part again. So that's the entire part one. I hope you enjoyed watching. Stay tuned for part two of Boy Paganini.